So this is a progression. We're going to do step one. We're going to click the button and output to a message box. Step two, we're going to have your value in your modules like we did before and output to a cell. Step three is going to be we're going to output the cell value to the message box. And step four will be obviously we're going to input here and output here, right? Whatever's input here is going to output here or double. So let's save it and let's get started. Make sure you save it as VBA XLMS, right? Developer tab. And first thing I'm going to do is obviously view code. And we're going to split screen just like this, okay? Just like that. So first thing you want to do, obviously, you want to sub and you want to just basically call it, let's just call it step one, okay? Just like here. So we know what step one is. And step one, we'll simply just type in message box here and put in hello everyone, okay? Here. Okay, so now this is hello everyone. I'm going to turn my volume. And I'm going to save it like such. I'm going to right click, assign macro, and we're going to type in macro name is going to be sheet1.step1, right? Sheet1.step1 because it's accessing the sheet here. Okay. Bam. Hello everyone. Okay. Now make sure you don't have any other macros open. If you copy from one spreadsheet macros to the other, it's going to cause problems. You're going to have to start over, and that's the key to all this. Okay. So next thing you want to do is obviously you have your form here. So what we want to do is whatever form, whatever value is in here, I'm going to output to this cell here. And I'm going to copy this real quick and I'm going to paste it. And I'm just going to call it step two. Okay. And in my step two, let me delete all this right here. In my step two, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something called dim. Dim is basically I'm declaring a variable and dimension, right, as string. So there's four types of variables. There's for our purpose, there's float, right, which is single or double, integer, string, and boolean. String is a sequence of characters, okay? And we want to put x is equal to your name, so we're going to put in, I don't know, Fred. Okay, let's just put in Fred. And what we want to do is, originally what we did was we output this value to your message box. Remember that? So we hit x equals Fred, so what's it going to output? It's going to output Fred. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to right-click on it real quick, assign the macro on step two, and I'm going to save it here real quick, and I'm going to run it, and Fred, right? But that's not what I really want to do. That's not what I really want to do. I'm going to go ahead and comment this text out here with an apostrophe, and bam, I'm commenting out. When I comment out a code, basically I'm taking out the code. Again, it's that little apostrophe. It's a single quotation, okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type in sheet1.range, and look at the cell value here. The cell value here is E20, okay? E20. And I can type in value equals X. So the value, okay, hold on, value equals X. So I'm going to save it. And what's saying is that the value Fred is going to output to the cell here, right? So the value Fred, I put X equals Fred. And the value of it is going to go to E20, and I'm going to save it. And I'm just going to go ahead and run it, and there's my Fred. Okay, there's my Fred. Okay, so what I want to do now is that's how I output to a cell. Now, how do I input from a cell, right? I want to do this exact opposite. Control C again. I'm going to copy paste it. I'm going to type in step three. In step three, I'm going to type in again dim y as a string, okay? And my y value, let me get rid of all this, okay? My y value is going, I'm sorry, this is x real quick. Let me change it. and y value, is going to be this. So my y value is no longer a hard-coded value that I had earlier. I'm going to input it from a cell. How do I input this from a cell? It's very simple. Sheet 1 dot range, right? And what's the cell value here? This is M5. So I click on M5, just like that, right? And from this value, I can now put into a message box. MSG box. Your name is, and then I'm just going to do this, and I type in Y, just like that. Okay. So now what's happening in this command is that I declare a variable. My Y value is here. A message box is here. I save it, right? And I'll run it. And I put in, let's say I put in Bob. Okay. Bam. Okay. Now I need to obviously not have Bob. That's my mistake. I need to obviously assign a macros. I'm going to go ahead and assign a macro, and it'll be step 3. That's the match. And then obviously there's no value, right? So once I put in the value, call Bob, there's my value, Bob. Okay. And in our last step of our cell progression, we're going to input our value here, and we're going to double the output of our value here. So we can just do this real quick, and we can play double output. So let's just complete C, step 4. Okay, and call this Z. Let's call this Z1. And what we're going to do is we're going to call it integer. And then we're going to call it dim2, dim Z2 as integer. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the value from here. So Z1 is going to be a value from this cell, which is going to be M18, right? M18. And then what we're going to do is we're going to output it to M20. So, right? So we're going to say sheet 1 M20 is equal to Z1. Okay, you will see the value going from here to here, right? So we're going to save it, and then we're just going to run it. So let's call this value 10, and when you hit 10, when you click this button, by the way, before I do that, I right click, I assign the macro, step 4, I assign the macro, I put the value 10, bam, 10. Now if I want to double the value, what do? I simply say, okay, well I can multiply by 2, right? So now if I have 10, 20. What if I want to make it over, multiply by 10? Right, click it, 100. Okay, so that's how I want you to kind of look at the cell progression. Let's look at it again. Okay, let's look at the whole concept again. You could click for a message box, right? You can click on a valued output to a cell. You can take in a value from a cell and output it, or I can change this to Sue. And then we can change the value here, call it 15, and this is 150, okay?